One day, I went to a high-end sushi restaurant with 7 of my mom friends. "We have a reservation for 6 under the name of Smith," said the boss mom, Emily, clearly. Then, looking at me with a mean smile, she said, "Thanks for booking the seats for us. I've changed the number of people so you, who are not our friend, can go home." The other mom friends snickered. "Sure, enjoy your meal." I said that as I walked away from the elite mom group. Later, a staff member came to me, and the faces of the elite moms turned pale. "My name is Cindy Smith, a 42-year-old housewife. I have a same-age husband and a 17-year-old son. We live a modest yet peaceful life in a quiet residential area. My husband, Dave, is a hard-working man who values family time despite his demanding job. My son, Eric, has been accepted into a university with a strong soccer program as he loves soccer and seems busy making memories with his friends during his last year of high school. Now that parenting has somewhat settled down, I've started to have more time with my friends. One evening, I received a notification on my phone from an old group chat. It's been almost 5 years since anyone posted in that group chat.
Since everyone's children seem to be graduating safely next March, I thought we could have a celebration party.
It was from Emily, the boss mom. Then, one after another, other members expressed their agreement with stamps like "okay" and "looking forward to it." I just watched a conversation without responding. Then came a unilateral notification from Emily. "The party will be at the famous high-end sushi restaurant Isomaru. Cindy, you're okay to be the organizer this time, right?" I thought to myself, why me? I haven't met these people in over 5 years privately. When I didn't respond, just like before, the other moms quickly expressed their agreement. "Since everyone agrees, Cindy, please take care of it," said Emily. Her words made it seem like I was the organizer this time. "Maybe it's time to settle things," I muttered to myself and picked up my phone. It goes back 10 years ago. It all started when our family moved to this town due to my husband's job transfer. At that time, my son Eric was in the 2nd grade. Leaving friends from his kindergarten behind, we were both anxious as we headed to his new elementary school. Following my husband's suggestion, we applied to the nearest private elementary school, and Eric was successfully enrolled. My son made his debut at the private elementary school right after transferring. After finishing the paperwork and seeing him to his classroom, I had some time before picking him up, so I walked back home alone through the school. That's when I saw a lady, dressed like an upper-class lady, chatting with a few teachers. She looked as though she was expressing her opinions, which seemed to be troubling the teachers. Feeling awkward but not wanting to take a detour, I tried to pass by them unnoticed. Just as I was passing, the conversation seemed to end, and the lady spoke to me.
"Oh, I haven't seen you before. Which child's parent are you?"
"Hello. Starting today, my son Eric is transferring to the 2nd grade here. I'm Cindy Smith." The lady looked me up and down as if sizing me up, from my toes to my head, and then asked with curiosity-filled eyes, "Oh, how unusual. Mid-year transfer to our school. Is there some kind of situation you're in?" I felt a bit uneasy. I thought to myself, who is she? She's too formal to be a parent, yet too blunt to be a teacher. "Excuse me, but who are you?" I asked cautiously. "Oh dear, I forgot to introduce myself. It's been years since there's anyone who doesn't know me. I'm a parent just like you. It seems we have children in the same grade." I'm Emily, mother of Jeff Alder." To my surprise, she was also a parent. Before I knew it, the teachers from earlier had disappeared. Could she be what they call a helicopter parent? I thought it was best to keep my distance. This was how I first met Emily. I was working at the time, so I figured our paths wouldn't cross much. But as luck would have it, Emily's son and my son ended up in the same class, and we would see each other during school events. Somehow, Emily took a liking to me, and I found myself among her circle of elite mom friends. I would have preferred to keep my distance, but fearing that any discord between us parents might affect our children, I decided to maintain a minimal relationship with Emily and the others for my son, Eric's sake. However, aside from me, the other moms seemed to be from a different world, having been close since their kids attended the associated preschool, leaving me completely isolated. I often thought about leaving the group, but it seemed my stories from outside their world were of interest to them, serving as fodder for their superiority complex. It wasn't pleasant, but I endured it for Eric's sake. However, a minor incident caused a rift between me and the group of mom friends. When our sons were in 6th grade, I was called in by their homeroom teacher, which made me nervous. I felt a little flutter inside. More often than not, being called in by a teacher meant something bad. Did he get into a fight? Did he cheat on a test? Surely not Eric. As I headed to the school filled with anxiety, I was led to the reception room where the principal, vice principal, the homeroom teacher, and I were to meet. "I apologize for calling you in suddenly, especially when you have work," the principal started with a smile. It didn't seem like Eric had done anything wrong, but still, I replied cautiously, "No problem at all. Has Eric done something?" Seeing my apprehensive response, they laughed. The teacher explained, "I'm sorry to have startled you. We called you here because we have requests for you." In summary, the school wanted me to plan that year's school trip because I work in the travel industry. Eric had mentioned my job during a school assignment, and the school had been looking for fresh ideas for the trip, as they had been going to the same place every year. It was a flattering request, but feeling anxious about planning it alone, I decided to survey the students for their preferences, ensuring the plan would fit within the budget. Eventually, we settled on a trip to Hawaii. As I became more involved in planning the school trip, I found myself at the school more frequently. One day, I ran into Emily. She seemed a bit upset and said,
"Hey, Cindy, I heard from the teachers that you planned this school trip. Is that true?"
"Well, it was based on a survey among the students. Hawaii received the most votes and it fit our budget, so that's what we chose based on the students' wishes." As I explained, Emily interjected, "Unbelievable.
Did you know my child attends a modeling academy? The UV rays in Hawaii in June could cause sunburn. How could someone like you, just because you work part-time at a travel agency, decide on the school trip destination?"
I was taken aback by her barrage of criticism, and before I knew it, the other moms were standing behind Emily, looking at me with cold eyes. As I wondered how to defuse the situation, the homeroom teacher and vice principal came over and explained the situation. Emily seemed unsatisfied and said, "We'll discuss this in the principal's office," before disappearing with the vice principal and homeroom teacher. The remaining moms continued to look at me coldly. Fortunately, a call from work gave me an excuse to leave the uncomfortable situation. The principal, vice principal, and homeroom teacher managed to pacify Emily, and the children were able to go on their school trip without issue. According to Eric, Emily's son Jeff ended up enjoying Hawaii the most and was the most excited. Since the kids were happy, I was hopeful that would ease Emily's anger. Just as I felt that way, the night after the school trip, Emily posted in the mom group chat, "Cindy, thank you for planning such a wonderful trip for the kids. I'm sorry for being harsh." Following her, the other moms also posted their thanks. I was glad they came around. It was quite relieving. When the kids were about to enter middle school, Emily posted on the group chat, "How about we celebrate everyone making it to middle school by taking a little trip together with the kids?" Then one of the moms suggested, "That sounds great. How about going to Universal Studios? We can rent a minibus." One by one, everyone started to agree. I was just watching the conversation quietly when Emily called me out specifically. "Cindy, are you listening? It's your turn." "Oh, yes, I'm listening. Universal Studios sounds good," I replied. Then she said, "Could you take care of the arrangements then? You like doing that sort of thing, right?" "What? Am I arranging this all by myself? Can someone help me?" I posted in panic. Emily replied, "Of course you will handle it. You planned the school trip, right? It should be easy for you." That was not me alone. The school arranged it through my company, and it was a team effort, I explained, but no one responded to that, and Emily just posted, "Thanks, we're counting on you," and possibly ended the conversation. It might have been manageable if the trip was more than a month away, but the departure was in 2 weeks. It was the spring break season, and hotels were getting booked up everywhere. I asked the other members in the group chat for help, but my messages were read and ignored, and Emily would ask me, "How's it going?" once a day. I wanted to cancel the trip altogether, but I wasn't sure what the mom group would say, and more importantly, my son was really looking forward to going to Universal Studios. Despite not wanting to use my company's resources for personal matters, I reluctantly did so to make the arrangements in time. One thing that bothered me was Emily insisting on using her name for the group reservation. Additionally, I was concerned that I had to front the payment and collect it on the day of the trip. Then came a day I'll never forget. On the day of the trip, when my son and I arrived at the meeting place, the other members were already there. In fact, they were on the bus, ready to leave, so we hurried over. Why were they all there 30 minutes before the scheduled time when they usually show up at the last minute? I had a bad feeling. Gasping for breath as I tried to board the bus, Emily blocked the entrance and pointed to a sign saying, "Can't you see this?" It read, "Capacity 15." The bus I arranged was supposed to be a 20-passenger minibus. Our group consisted of 7 moms, 7 kids, and because it was a long trip from the Midwest, I had arranged for 2 drivers, making us 16 in total. A 15-passenger bus wouldn't have enough seats. With a malicious smile, Emily said, "You could have spared yourself the hurt if you had arrived right at the meeting time. We moved up the meeting time so we wouldn't hurt you. You seem to be under some misunderstanding," she continued. "I'm sorry, what do you mean? Where are our seats?" I asked, only to hear laughter coming from the bus. Then Emily, holding her stomach from laughing so hard, said, "Oh dear, you're still misunderstanding. Why would you think you and Eric are coming? This is a trip for us and our kids. Were you a part of us? But you asked me to arrange everything in the group chat," I replied, struggling to contain my anger and frustration. "I did ask, but who said you were coming with us? Can you read? Don't make such a mistake," Emily continued, still laughing. "That's awful. How could you do this? Did I do something wrong? As I protested, Emily retorted, don't you see your own mistake, exposing someone else's child to the risk of skin cancer? You were the first to betray us. Emily was still holding a grudge about the decision to make the school trip to Hawaii. Anyway, that's the situation. We're going to be late, so could you move? Emily pushed past me, closed the bus door in front of me, and the bus left. Left behind were my son and I. Mom, what about Spider-Man, Harry Potter? My son asked, tears welling up in his eyes, realizing he wouldn't get to see the much-anticipated attractions at Universal Studios. He was so looking forward to Universal Studios. It seemed like my son understood that he couldn't go, that he was being left behind. It was too much for my son to see his mom being treated so coldly by other adults. I'm sorry, Eric. We can't go with everyone today. We'll definitely go with Dad next time. I tried to comfort him, but he couldn't hold back his tears any longer and cried on the spot. I managed to hold back my tears, hailed a taxi, and we went home. My son was so upset and ashamed that he stayed in his room for 3 days. Worried about him, my husband and I took turns staying off work to be by his side. 3 days later, when I returned from work and checked our mailbox, I found unenveloped cash and a partially eaten bag of snacks from Universal Studios. Clearly the return of the trip expenses and a thoughtless attempt at a souvenir. I knew who was responsible. Judging by the amount of cash, it was meant to cover the trip costs. I hid the snack bag deep in the trash so Eric wouldn't find it and stored the cash, finally noticing my hands were shaking. How far would these people go to hurt someone? Hurting my son was unforgivable. I thought I should stop associating with them. With that thought, I decided to stop checking the group chat altogether. Years passed with no contact from the old mom friends group until about 5 years later. The group chat sprang to life again, moving forward without me just like before. From the chat history, it seemed that not just me but other former mom friends hadn't updated this group for a long time, indicating they had formed a new group without me. In the midst of it all, there's only one reason they're chatting again in the group I'm in. It's to use me. As I silently watched the chat unfold, it was decided that next Wednesday, we'd be going to a famous high-end sushi restaurant for lunch. Of course, I was expected to make the arrangements. This is going to be fun. It's one of those places you have to reserve, right? I can't wait to brag to my friends. The other moms were posting one after another. I also added a quick looking forward to it and closed the chat. On the promised day, at the promised time, I went to the restaurant and found all the former mom friends gathered in front of it. Long time no see, Cindy. Did you make the reservation? Must have been hard to get one, huh? Emily, leading the pack, greeted me in a familiar tone. That expression was the same one she had 5 years ago when she left me and our son behind. They must be trying to trick me again. Hello, long time no see. There's a bit of a line forming behind you, so maybe you could come inside, I suggested to my former mom friend, urging her to enter. That prompted the former mom friends to enter the restaurant with Emily leading the way. As the staff welcomed us, they asked Emily, "How many in your party today?" "A reservation for 6 under Smith," Emily responded loudly enough for everyone in the restaurant to hear. The staff went towards the back after saying, "Please wait for a short while. I'll get someone to show you to your table," and the former mom friends burst into laughter.
By the way, Cindy, Why are you here? Meeting someone? Surely you don't think you're dining with us. You're not our friend. Sorry about that.
Emily said that, as she remained unchanged since 5 years ago. Actually, I have a reservation here too, I said, and the former mom friends went silent.
What? A reservation?
As Emily started to speak, a server came from the back and said, "Ms. Smith, I'm sorry. We have your reservation for 4 people," to which Emily panicked. 4? That can't be right. I changed it to 6 last week. The other former mom friends started murmuring, "What's going on?" Then the server noticed me hiding behind the former mom friends and said, "Ms. Smith, oh, we've been expecting you, Madam CEO. Your party is also here," calling me out. "Thank you. Sorry for being late. Could you show us to our table?" I was about to be led by the server when Emily grabbed my arm.
What's going on? Why are you being seated?
She demanded my explanation. "Please lower your voice. You're disturbing the other guests," I calmly responded to Emily. She, along with the former mom friends, was stunned. "I have a reservation for 4, which is why I'm being seated. You all made a reservation too, right? It's hard to get into this place without one," I stated plainly. In response, Emily's face twisted in anger. "You were supposed to book for 7 for us. You tricked us." I couldn't help but laugh. "Why would I make a reservation for you? Did I ever say I would?" Emily's face grew redder.
But you replied looking forward to it in the chat.
That meant I was looking forward to seeing you all enjoy your meal. I'm not part of your mom friends group. I never thought I was included as a member. I said that to provoke Emily. Emily was completely speechless. Then, from behind, one of the former mom friends interjected, "Wait, did the server call you Madam CEO? What did she mean? I run a company that deals with travel and dining. This restaurant is one of mine. Today, I reserved this lunch for my dear friends. Someone did change the reservation to 6 a week ago, but at the last confirmation yesterday, I changed it back to 4. I explained to them as I gestured to 3 friendly-looking friends waving at me from a table. After waving back, I said to the mom friends group, "Excuse me, I've kept them waiting," and left them frozen in their spots to join my table. I simply had friends outside of that group. Our children attended an affiliated school where the campus changes based on the curriculum chosen. Eric pursued a curriculum focused on sports to devote himself to soccer. This separated us from Emily and the others who focused on academic curriculums since middle school. It was a relief. In this new environment, I found kind mom friends, and Eric could immerse himself in his beloved soccer, enjoying peaceful days both mentally and physically. That's why we came to have a meal with these friends whom I could talk to without any reservations. During the meal, a server whispered to us, "Excuse me for interrupting your meal, but a woman who was here earlier is causing a scene at the reception." Looking towards the reception, there was Emily throwing a tantrum like a child, yelling, "I won't accept this. I'm definitely going to eat sushi here, so make room." No other former mom friends were in sight. It seemed they had left Emily behind. She was throwing a tantrum like a child, insisting on eating sushi. "Please call the police. She's just an old acquaintance. Don't worry about me," I told the server, and watched as the police arrived and took Emily away. Months later, after Eric successfully finished his college entrance ceremony, he moved to his dormitory, and we were enjoying some long-awaited time as a couple. However, since both my husband and I run our own businesses, it's hard for our days off to align. Despite the busyness, we are living fulfilling days. I was curious why Emily had started bothering me again after 5 years. Rumor has it that Emily had always wanted to make your son a celebrity and had kept him from sports to avoid injuries since he was young. Mostly playing at home, he eventually got hooked on video games, leading to a reversed sleep schedule and sporadic school attendance. Apparently, she was not pleased to hear my son got into college through a sports scholarship, resenting the future we envisioned for him. It's unbelievable as a parent to make others uncomfortable out of ego. I hope Emily's son doesn't succumb to her pressure and follows his own path.